Welcome to the Sofa Stories podcast with Nick Bianchi, humble furniture retailer, entrepreneur and paddle addict, alongside Oli Dunn, professional fun haver, presenter and chocolatier, aka me. Nick and I will be welcoming some fascinating guests to the podcast to share their stories on the sofa and a ton of value. In this episode, we're going to tell you what we're all about and why we are doing the podcast. So let's get into it.
We're here. We're doing it.
How did you feel when you woke up this morning?
Buzzing. Buzzing. Tired from a paddle tournament last night, but buzzing.
Oh, me too. I mean, we've been speaking on voice notes for a long time. We have these conversations that are just electric, and we've been wanting to kind of share that with the wider universe. So
absolutely, yeah.
We're here at Choc HQ, or what would you call it?
Chocolate Towers, Chocolate Village, which is great. You've got everything here. I mean, in time, I think our permanent home will be down at Origi Bianchi's, and we can just do it there. We're building a studio around there. So, but this is a great to do episode 1 here. No finer place.
Oh, well, thank you so much, bro. I've been excited this morning getting the room ready, tidying away the chocolate, getting the audio equipment out, but I'm excited to bring this over to Origi's and do it on the sofa.
Hey, we should just a bit of backstory about who we are.
We should, yeah.
You kick off. No. Who's Oli?
Okay,
I'm going to start. Oli, it's on your turf here. Oli, give the audience, listeners, a bit of a debrief on your backstory.
Yeah, so I grew up in a family business called Simon Dunn Chocolatier, which is my mum and dad's chocolate shop, and if anybody's from the sort of Stockport, Cheshire area, you may be familiar with the shops. My dad had a shop in Wilmslow, Stockport, Hazel Grove, Glossop. So I grew up in that business. To put it into perspective, when I was a child, my mum and dad used to make chocolates from home, so they basically had a chocolate factory in the house. So as children, me and my sister Camilla used to sneak downstairs in the middle of the night and get handfuls of chocolate, like the chocolate that I've got on the desk here for you to enjoy, Mr. Bianchi.
Great chocolate.
Thank you very much. So I grew up eating chocolate, watching mum and dad making chocolates from home, and then when I was 17, didn't really know what I wanted to do going forwards, and my dad, I think I was a bit negative actually when I look into it. I was a bit kind of like, it doesn't really matter what I do because nobody really enjoys work. And my dad pointed out to me that, he said, "Do you think I enjoy my work?" And I said, "Well, yeah, of course." And he said, "Well, maybe you would enjoy doing what I do."
Yeah.
And I think I resisted it at first because it felt the obvious thing to do. So I kind of resisted it and wanted to do other things. And it's interesting when I look back, I actually wanted to be either a radio presenter or a TV presenter or something along those lines, just because I enjoyed consuming shows like TFI Friday, The Big Breakfast, obviously Chris Evans there, but Saturday morning TV in the 90s, and the way it made me feel, I just thought, wouldn't it be great to be one of those presenters? And they're literally just being paid to have fun. Yeah. At some point, I probably felt that, that's a little bit ambitious. Maybe I need to think of something a bit more, inverted commas, realistic. Anyway, I joined the family business, working in the chocolate shops, and I loved it. Every single day is different. I love the interactions with customers, and the end result is always making people happy. And I'm sure you can relate to that.
Well, I mean, as well, if I can just interject, chocolate is something that does make you smile.
Exactly. So whether it's just a simple eating a piece of chocolate or even the word chocolate makes people smile. So through the products, through the services that we, the chocolate making parties, the corporate events, we're giving people an experience. So it's all about experience. It's all about creating happiness. And then as cheesy as it might sound, but memories, a lot of people will come to me and say, your dad did our wedding favours. You did my daughter's first birthday, maybe a 5th birthday party, and now she's at university or something. So it's tying in all those things, and people will come and say, "Look, I want to book you for a hen party or a baby shower," and it's because there's a memory there with the chocolate.
I have to pause it there because talking about memories, and you can maybe just explain to the listener, to the audience, about what the chocolate smash is, because you created an amazing memory for Jeanette, my wife's 50th last week. Just explain what a chocolate smash is, and then I'll explain it.
Perfect. This is a great... I
know we're going a bit off piece there, but it is your backstory. But you just talked about memories, and this is exactly a memory.
There is no better example, and it was such an honour to do that for you. And it's always amazing that this is the first time I'm telling this story with yourself, so it's perfect. The chocolate smash is a hollow cake, if you like, a big hollow piece of chocolate, which we can hide inside. It could be sweets, it could be chocolate, it could be anything. So people sometimes give me things to put inside them. It might be a flight ticket, concert ticket, and you've got to smash. So the recipient has got to smash it to get to the content. So it's that whole experience. It's like I was saying earlier. It's creating that whole experience and that end result being just pure joy and excitement. Yeah. So anyway, I'll now pass over to you. You can give a bit more context as to what we did.
It was inspired by, we're at a dinner party, Jeanette and I, really close friends, Howard and Zara, and there was a sign on Howard and Zara's wall. There's a house sign, random, but obviously means very sentimental value. And we that he kind of explained what that was, what the backstory was, that it was a one memory from the family house that his best mate went and basically got it because he'd been talking about it and it meant so much to him. Yeah. So Jeanette at that moment piped up and just said, "Oh God, when her mum sold the house, it was in Heel Green. It was like a house is a house is a house, but the door knocker really represented something of sentimentality." Yeah. She, as you know, Jeanette lived in Dubai for 18, 19 years. And so he's even coming back off the flights, coming into Manchester, just the door knocker, the sound. Yeah. Her late father had, built it and everything like that. So on the back of that, and that's why I mentioned about the Howard and Zara thing, I got in touch with the owner of my mother-in-law's old house and managed to get.
That is absolutely amazing. Like, I love the nostalgia of it. It's like you say, if she's been away for a long time, she comes back and the sound of that door knocker, she feels like that she's at home with the sound of that.
I'm home.
And that is just such a grounding feeling. Yeah. He built that house as well.
Yeah.
Which is even more amazing.
Yeah.
So the fact that you took it upon yourself to go back to that house and speak to somebody that you've never spoken to before in your life and ask them, I want your door knocker in a roundabout way. How can we do this? How can we do this deal? So how did that conversation go?
Well, it's always about the first 30 seconds, isn't it? You're trying to explain who you are, which obviously said I'm Joan Blease's son-in-law, so that was a frame of reference. I'm not, just cold calling. And then to kind of basically just into as quick a time as possible to ascertain and give all the information about what this door knocker is, what it represents. But I am actually asking Paul, who's the owner, I want your door knocker. I am actually wanting to take something off your house, so. Wow, but he was absolutely class. He was good as gold. He got it, understood it, and was so, he actually at first refused to take money. And I was like, no, I insist. But he does run a charity for really severe diabetes that his daughter has, and so I was able then to kind of pay in inverted commas through there because he refused to take cash. But so I said, look, I feel much better now that I've given you something. And
it sounds like it was a win-win for everyone, and I bet he enjoyed that.
Yeah,
being part of that story.
He's been. I mean, that door knocker, as you know, has been in the car for about 3 months because I daren't bring it in because it could be found. Yeah. We had the chat at Chocolate Towers, didn't we? Yeah. About creating it within the Chocolate Smash. Yeah. But seeing Jeanette opening it, because she thought it was a cake. So obviously there's that thing, here's a big spoon. Well, I can't smash this beautiful cake. I told her it was from you. Yeah. But then actually breaking it and then seeing it and seeing the reaction on Jeanette's face. Yeah, I can imagine. They were just happy tears, let's put it that way.
Wow. So like you say, she opens this thing, it looks like a cake, and it's got happy 50th birthday Jeanette. Yeah. It's got like the palm trees and the colours, and she's like, oh wow, it's beautiful. Yeah. Thinking that's the gift.
Which in itself is a lovely, thoughtful gift, the fact you personalised the cake in inverted commas. Yeah.
And the last thing she thinks about doing at that point is smashing it to bits. So you're like, no, Jeanette, you've got to smash this.
Yeah. At 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm trying to kind of, because obviously one or two were in on this in terms of knew about it, and I'm trying to video it, but Jeanette's like in a dressing gown, and she's like, oh, don't fucking video me. Yeah. But she wouldn't swear, she's far too polite. But don't swear out. So I didn't video, but because that might have been a bit contrived. But I think it goes back to your point, and again, I'm sorry to kind of jump in on that, but I think the beauty of a podcast is, and we are both voracious kind of listeners to podcasts, is that we can just go a bit off piece, but it directly links to chocolate and memories. We've just come back off a trip at half term. Yeah. We were abroad, and you see a chocolate shop, you know, Harrison, our son's just drawn to it as well. So it's a positive thing. So I can totally understand why your dad was wanting, you know, saying, she could, you know, come into this business.
Yeah.
But what you've done so well is that you are probably known as, you know, Oli the Choc, you know, you're branded, you know, I call you just Choc. You know, like Nike doesn't say, it just has the swoosh, you know, you are Choc. But you do, there's so many other things. What inspires me about you is that you had a vision to be on Blue Peter. You realised that ambition. You know, to be the resident chocolatier of Blue Peter, of Steph's Pat Lunch. You know, just talk us through that, because presenting is something you are brilliant at.
Yeah,
and secondly, you've always wanted to do it. I know, you know, you go back to, if you look on Oli's YouTube, go back to I think 2013, you'll see an audition he did. Would audition be the right word?
It was like an audition. Yes, it was like
for Blue Peter, wasn't
it? Blue Peter show
reel,
reel for Blue.
With a show reel,
a show reel for Blue Peter as part of an application process in order to become a Blue Peter presenter, which, you know, inevitably wasn't the case, but it was a big part of the journey, and remains to be that. You know, it's a reference point, like you say. And I look back at that video myself, and I think, I look so.
Young,
young,
fresh faced,
and just shy, and I am a shy person deep down, so I think that's what I've tried my best to overcome over these years. And but going back to the presenting thing, it was what I wanted to do, but I wasn't necessarily ready or prepared or trained in this. It was just that I was able to leverage the work that I do with chocolate to present. So I've offered chocolate making parties for kids' birthdays, and gone in and entertained groups of kids. So I've presented chocolate. So then over time, I've been able to transfer that skill away from chocolate and into other things like TikTok live shopping shows for brands like Xavi at the Hook Group Studios, going out into the streets of Manchester interviewing people as like a Vox Pop style for Swizzles Sweets, who are just up the road here, who I work closely with. So it's opened up doors, and it continues to. I think that's what excites me in life, is kind of the opportunities that we can create for ourselves through, you know, the power of chocolate, but the power of social media, the power of collaboration, putting ourselves out there. And when I first spoke to you, Nick, I remember we had a conversation in the bubble room going back a very long time. You'll remember this, you and Jeanette, me and Kim, and we were speaking about the family business, and obviously we shared not the same, but similar background stories. And then also the same desire to create and to do other things. And you've always been an massive inspiration to me in a way of, you can do it. Like, it's like you mentioned Nike before, just do it. You know, you've got a gin brand declaration, which I've got a bottle here.
The rum.
We can talk about. I've got the rum here. So and obviously, you know, your investment not only as a player but in paddle itself, and the paddle club in Wilmslow, many different layers to you. It's not just you're not just a humble furniture retailer. You're a presenter, and you do presenting work with the marketing team at Arrighi's. But you very much are a brand, Nick Bianchi, and keen to always explore new things. Hence the podcast. But I'd like to just jump into kind of your background a bit, and how the way you saw it going, and whether it was always your vision to do things like this, or whether your mindset has changed over the years.
Really good question. I mean, my backstory is obviously school. My passion at school were languages, so I came out from school speaking like French and Spanish. But the one language I really wanted to learn, but they didn't offer it at school, was Italian, obviously, with my heritage of Italian. Grandfather being Italian, etc. So as soon as I did my A-levels, I went to live in Florence for a year, which was amazing, and managed to get a job on the market selling belts and wallets. I mean, just what a carefree, everything. It was just a wonderful year. And you wake up at 6:30 in the morning and setting the stall out with real hardened Florentine workers, but having a glass of Lambrusco with them and a hard-boiled egg.
Yeah, love that.
That's what they do.
The smells of leather and coffee and cigarettes.
Fumando, smoking like a they say fumando como un turco, smoking loads, but just everyone smoked over there, and it was just
you
very
smoke
much.
At the time?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lifestyle.
You could not smoke in Italy in the time. Everyone smoked, policemen, everyone, and I think it was. when you get under the veneer of living in a culture, and I think then, for anyone listening to this podcast who love languages, I feel sorry for people now because English is so prevalent. But back in 1990, certainly in Italy.
So that was it 1990 that you
immediately after the Italian
World Cup?
Well, immediately after.
Just after.
Because obviously I had done A levels. Yeah, absolutely. Because it was a successful World Cup.
Yeah.
And then we had football-wise. It was actually a really good pal, David Platt. I love it. David had just signed for an Italian team.
Yes.
Gaza had signed, but it was arriving the following. So there was all this Gaza mania.
Yeah,
it was all happening. And so the Italian 90 was seen as a really successful World Cup.
I remember it well.
Italian 90, and England did really well.
Yeah.
But there was a buzz about the place. But it was just the point I'm making was not many people spoke English.
Yeah.
You go to Italy now. Certainly my two bosses on the market didn't speak English. You can't believe that.
No, you can't.
So I was able to I said, well, listen, I can communicate with all the Americans, the English, the Canadians, every English-speaking person.
Yeah.
I was in.
And what were you doing? Like negotiating deals on sales?
Selling wallets and belts.
They were trying to barter you down.
It's classic. Yeah.
That's cool. It's a great experience, that.
Amazing. And then obviously picked up the language and then went back. Did the uni, went back to live in France. Did French and Italian at uni. Did a master's at Bristol. But I think that was because I didn't really know what to do. I was like, I still don't know what to do. And I've got my sister to thank for the first job, Sarah, because she'd found an advert in the Manchester Evening News.
I love this story. I only heard this story recently. I knew about the job, the work, shall we say, but I'd love you to tell that story.
So all my flatmates in Bristol had got jobs lined up in the city or whatever, and they were like, "Oh, I'm starting a job." 14 grand. It was a hell of a lot of time. 1996. That was a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I speak these languages, but I've got nothing. And Sarah, my sister, back in Cheshire.
Yeah.
Because she'd been living in London, but she was back in Manchester. She was then working for the family business. Said, "I've just seen this." Obviously, phoning me on the landline.
Yeah.
I found this advert in the Manchester Evening News.
Yeah.
So I said, read it out. I said, this candidate must speak fluently at least 2 languages as well as English, but must, underlined, have an interest in football. Please apply to Patricia at blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
So I was like, don't lose it, because it's not like now we just scan it, WhatsApp it, whatever. It's just, I said,
wow.
So, and I sent this kind of quite unashamed, a covering letter saying, "Look, I love football, speak French, Italian, Spanish, obviously English." And so, cut a long story short, managed to get an interview in July of '96. And the first question was, who of Man United? Oh, no, was it probably August it was. And the first question, sometimes when you've been interviewed, it's like, tell me a situation in life where you've been challenged and how you all that.
Yeah.
This was like, who have Man United signed? So I was like, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ronnie Johnson, and Jordi Cruyff. So he was like, okay, football. Okay.
Brilliant.
So then she went out, then an Italian speaker came in, then a French speaker came in, and they said, well, we want to offer you the job. So I didn't really know exactly what it was. Oh, right. But effectively, it was doing all the translating for.
So as part of the interview, you had to speak to the Italian speaker.
Absolutely.
And French. And
absolutely, yeah. So
about
they kind
football?
Of football general, yeah. They just wanted to know my level, because ultimately the job that these guys the services that they were providing for football clubs was a full translation services.
Yeah.
So that's for press conferences with the manager. That's press conferences. That's doing the tannoy over the loudspeaker in the stadiums. That's meet and greet, just general stuff being around the teams in the hotels, so they had to know and be reassured that I had a level of fluency to be able to deal with that, from something like televised press conferences to just literally just checking in guys at hotel or getting extra rooms. So just being that man on the ground for the team, because that was our role.
So when the advert didn't state who it was for.
No, didn't say.
It was only when you got to the interview that.
Yeah, but Man United were their biggest client, so
Right.
So that was it.
So can you remember like your first day and like?
Well, I felt awful because it was in the first game was 1996, and it was in a friendly.
Yeah.
And for those who love football, Paul Ince had just signed for Inter Milan.
Right.
And as part of his deal, so say 6 million, plus there were 2 friendlies, one in Milan and one in Manchester. Or one in Manchester, one in Milan. I think it was the other way around, one in Manchester.
Okay.
So basically they said, but this girl in the office, Yvonne, who was a lovely lady, she was handling that.
Yeah.
Though she didn't speak Italian, she was her baby, but it was literally, Nick, you've got that now. And I felt awful. And you know, when you just detect, like, I've arrived and I've just suddenly taken something that she's been really looking forward to. Right. I know the languages thing, but it was more the meet and greet. You know, she was really, so that was really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like,
I bet.
I felt a bit of a shit. But I knew I had the language side, but there was stuff I did as well that was hers. And anyway,
I can imagine.
and I don't want to do that. You know, you want to arrive in an office and get on with everyone. And anyway, cut a long story short, did that, and obviously the team arrived into Manchester, the Inter Milan team. I took them to the hotel. It's the one opposite the old Granada Studios.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know the one I mean?
Great John Street.
No, it's not that boutique one. It's oh shit! It used to be. Was it called the V&A? I can't remember. We put in there.
Oh yeah.
But I was looking after them, and then it was literally just as soon as the game got played, went to the United's press conference room, and then did the interview, the questions. So that's how it started.
That must have been incredible being in that environment with the press conference, the atmosphere, quite intense.
Yeah, but I just didn't. I was just so happy that I got this job.
That's such an incredible experience. That I love it.
But Sarah's to thank for that. But that was just lovely because, like I say, it was. I've got friends who had got their jobs, and then to land this job working for a team that I'm obviously passionate about,
Absolutely.
United.
It's perfect.
And using my languages, which I love. It was just, it was just.
It seemed to come out of nowhere, didn't it? You couldn't have planned that any better. Like that could have been something that you've been working towards almost, but it wasn't. You just gone and learnt the languages, had the experience, and it just came at that perfect moment.
It was just a perfect time, perfect moment, I think I was there 4 years. Really happy years. Yeah,
amazing.
Really happy years.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So apart from that, obviously going into the family business. Was it the family business that came next then after?
No, worked in the grocery industry, food industry.
Yes.
So really, a really long-standing friend, Tim Clifford, and Peter Ross, and fantastic times. I just wanted to kind of develop a bit more commercial experience. So once you've done, 4 years doing or whatever it was, as however long as the football job, after a while it becomes a job.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I just felt I was needed to go to a next step.
Yeah,
and
you've taken everything you possibly can from that experience. And
and I just felt it was a good career progression, and I wanted to cut my teeth into. And grocery's tough.
Yeah,
it's really tough. If you're selling to the likes of Tesco, Sainsbury's, M&S, Asda, Quick Save, do you remember them?
Yes, I do remember.
Just about. Yeah, they were bastards.
Really.
Yeah,
squeezing the margins.
Especially if you're a supplier. Now, you've got here Bourbons. I mean, they're a big brand, right?
Yeah.
But if you're representing, which we were, we were representing different brands from abroad in Europe.
Yeah.
So it could be like an Italian panettone brand or something.
Yeah.
Imagine an Italian panettone brand phoning Tesco.
Yeah.
And they're just going to hang up.
Yeah.
They're not going to listen. It's impossible to get hold of. So
again, the languages came in.
Yeah. But we did also work with this Dutch massive brand, this Dutch cake, chocolate, bread brand as well. Right. So they were our biggest one. But yeah, it was good. It was really fantastic. Yeah.
And that must be great for resilience training, because having to deal with the likes of Quick Save and these supermarkets that are trying to nail you down on prices and squeeze your margins, and you're trying to stick up for these Italian and Dutch companies.
Absolutely.
And
then get on the listing, and then you've got say on cake, Mr. Kipling. I'm just using them as an example. Their account manager, he or she, or account director would go in.
Yeah.
And they do the review, they do the category for a lot of the times for the supermarkets. Right. And they're like, what are you doing with that little shitty brand out there? Oh, really? Well, I'm not, you don't need them. So it was constant, but it was actually the art of real old fashioned selling, because you really have to justify it. It's not like you're representing a Cadbury's where every supermarket has to have a Cadbury's.
Yeah.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Now they can, where the supermarkets can negotiate on is leverage their kind of power. Is, I don't know, there must be some smaller brands within the Cambria umbrella where you could, well, you're not going to have that, but they can't not have Cadbury's Dairy Milk.
No, of course. So it's like, for the smaller brands, it's like war.
It's war.
Like Wild West.
So he's got to work on price, on personality, on everything. But it was had some brilliant times there. That's a great moments. Unfortunately, we lost our great friend Peter Ross, who was our chairman last year, but he was such an inspirational guy.
Really,
taught me so much, and Tim as well is like a really close friend as well. He was the MD, and so we had really good times. And then the family business.
Which we'll come into. I just want to ask a quick question there. But you spoke about within the brands, the personality of brands. I wondered if there were any brands that you worked with or kind of represented that you took inspiration from in the way that they represented themselves as a brand.
I just loved the Panettone brand.
Really?
Muzzi, yeah. Just loved it. I love the guy who came over. He just had this lovely silk scarf on. I met him at hotel in High Street.
So his personality, did that run through the business?
I think, you could sell it. Just ran through the brand.
Really?
And there was this other cool guy called Walter, who actually some of my mates in paddle met in Andrax, bizarrely. He was on a yacht in Andrax, literally the other month. Wow. And friend Tim, who played paddle with, just said, "Oh no, got to have someone here." He phoned me like 11 at night, and I'm on a WhatsApp audio, and he's like, "Got a guy here who said you were very, you work well," and he was just this handsome, good-looking guy, charismatic.
Yeah.
And I think he represented the brand well. But
amazing.
Walter. Yeah. So
great characters. We take a lot from these characters, don't we? And I think. That's what we aim to do on this podcast is to be bringing some of those.
We've got some good people coming in.
We have already
talked about the first one. Go on.
Should we talk about Simon?
Yeah, love him.
Simon Wilson,
what a guy,
absolute legend. I played paddle with him, so obviously we've played a lot of paddle between us. MB, I've not played anything like as much paddle as you, but Simon is a very inspiring person, personality. His YouTube channel is massive, and it will be really interesting to kind of get inside his mind and just learn the sort of inner workings of kind of him, the way he operates, the way he thinks about content creation. And the numbers he gets are phenomenal, right?
He's so creative.
Yeah,
he really thinks about the challenges he does, and even just I'm really keen to kind of get under the veneer of like the clothing brand he set up, called Skin, which because he was Skin, that's why he called it Skin. Here's us trying to name a podcast. He was like, well, I'm Skin, I'll call it Skin. My understanding is, we'll get that verification from Simon on this, but his Facebook channel is the biggest travel company in the world or something like that. We'll have to so he's got his contact. He does content for many other travel bloggers, YouTubers,
so he produces it.
He's got a team there.
Right.
Loves his paddle. We've got to come on to paddle, by the way. We've got to not talk.
Exactly.
So maybe what we'll do is with this, what about if we just like whoever we meet, he or she, our guest, we start off with a game of paddle.
Sounds great to me.
Keen with that?
Sounds great. Yeah,
get everyone in the mood.
Brilliant.
So they normally should do. I think the thing. Talk about names. I'd love to call it The Rest Is Paddle, but I think we'd fall out with Goal Hanger Productions and Gary and Nicker's Mob with.
Unless they're listening and they want to get involved.
The Rest Is Paddle. No, but that's a bit narrow. But I mean, we need to pause and reflect for a minute. Paddle. Wow.
Yeah.
What a sport.
That's changed a lot of people's lives.
Yes.
The dynamics of the lifestyle, I think, is huge.
Yeah.
Not to mention fitness.
Yeah.
You constantly meeting new people. So it's not just what happens on the court; it's off the court.
Yeah.
What it leads to.
Yeah.
So
inclusive.
Inclusive. Varying abilities, beginners, intermediate, advanced. Everyone can play together.
Yeah.
It's such a big thing, and it doesn't seem to be. It's not slowing down.
No, and courts are popping up, and obviously, very linked with the paddle club, and which is obviously branching out now into Trafford City, and which is wonderful, and Gloucester. But that's the start of it. Bright. There could be many other centres being built, but other really good operators are opening as well. And I just think there's this appetite for the sport, and whoever takes it, whether it's our friends, our network.
Yeah.
I think of a mention to like Jess, who trained with the Fitism. She was massively, is massively into the gym. But now her and her husband have found paddle, and it's literally just So their holiday.
You think paddle is the gym? Paddle is the new gym? Like, that's where your fitness happens on the
yeah, I mean, I think it's important to kind of mix and match. I mean, we both did the 10K, and I was relying on my paddle fitness, and we got by. You did a massively better time than I did, but it's by about 10 minutes. I was happy with 56 or whatever I did, 55 or whatever I did. I was really happy with it, but I think there's definitely a place for the gym. It's just paddle is it. Yeah, it just if there's a game going at 7 a.m, I have to be honest.
7 a.m. is my favourite time to play.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is, because it doesn't interrupt my working day.
Yeah.
It means that I'll start the day with exercise, fresh air, getting out, socialising with people, maybe a quick coffee after, but then I can crack on with making my chocolate or whatever it is I have to do. Yeah. So yeah, I love that time.
Have you ever been part of the 6 o'clock club?
6 o'clock, I have done. Yeah, I have done. I went through a period of time where we played a little bit at Hale Country Club at 6 a.m. and it was kind of like during the winter months, which was crazy. So I just needed. I don't think the floodlights came on yet either. So
shit.
Like waiting for the sun to come up, or just playing with like head torches or something. So it was crazy.
But it's like I say, it's such a great sport. It's brought, like I say, so many people together. It's inclusive. It's and actually it was bizarre when went right from the top of this podcast. We've been talking about doing this for ages.
Yeah.
And then I left a voice note with one of the guys I play with a lot, Richard. And he went, "Oh, I like your voice note." And he said, "It felt like I was listening to a podcast. You should do one." And it was weird because we'd just come off the phone about taking this a step forward. And but yeah, I love the paddle debriefs. So I don't tire of listening to them at all.
I just want to, me too, mate. And I love the fact that Richard took because he came and had a chocolate party with me, didn't he?
Oh, he did, yeah, with his daughter,
That's right.
Edith,
with Edith. And he said, "I've just been listening to Nick's voice note," and he said it's got him all fired up, and it was all about the game that you played and stuff. And I think it was. Do you ever think sometimes that it's like a nod from the universe to like tell you that you need to do this, because the coincidences of you playing paddle with him that morning, then him coming for a chocolate party, him having the conversation with you should do a podcast, and then kind of saying the same to me. It's almost like something's trying to tell somebody or something's trying to tell us something here. And that's where it gained momentum, didn't it? And brought us here. So.
Yeah, you listen. I'm crap on anything like technology. The fact you've got everything geared up and everything, and you're brilliant to social media, is a huge help as well. But it's I think you do in life what makes your heart beat faster. I was always told that, and I agree with that. And this is, I've been really like excited to and excited where this goes as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Really excited, wherever it goes, however it goes, in whatever shape or whatever form it goes, and listening to canvassing like guys in our marketing department at Origi's, like Lucy, Ella, Sarah, Rebecca, Sam, hearing their take on it, and they're like, "Oh, that sounds a great idea." No kind of resistance. No. There's many reasons in life you just say, "Oh, I don't know, will anyone listen to us, or will this and that?" But so what?
And that's why I think it's important for us to do this, because we are about taking action, and I'm always saying don't ignore inspiration. If you've got inspiration to do something, don't ignore it. It kind of, you need to go with the flow of that inspiration and see where it takes you, because if it doesn't work, then you only learn from it and you take the lessons, and it's that experience that helps you to grow as a person, as a business. So by doing this, it will only stand to learn from each other, and I think that's how we do learn, is through communication. I know you are an avid reader and podcast listener as well. I think for me, mainly I learn through conversation with people, but also when we bring the guests on the show, there'll be invaluable experience that that they will share with us. So it's a no-brainer. It's making the time to do it, and I know that you and I can be guilty of like taking too much on sometimes, and trying to fit so much in. But life is for living and enjoying, and I think sometimes you do have to kind of push yourself and get up a bit earlier and get things done.
I agree. Life is precious, and I don't know if you saw the kind of last final words of Rob Burrow, the rugby player, and he said that obviously through his voice.
Is that
box.
right?
Yeah, and he was. You should try and listen to it. It's on BBC. It was a very short piece, but it was just like it was turned out to be his last words. But it was, life's precious. Make every minute of it, and do, like you say, do things like this. You know, we like talking, we like communicating, we like debriefing.
Exactly.
And we feel hopefully that people will like listening to us, and especially the people we bring on and the guests and everything like that. And
definitely,
and we'll learn. And
as you always say, no rules. Like,
no rules. Yeah, like going in with a gin business with the Vaughns, the Hunters, and Howes, or doing the thing with Kirky, with the agency, with Tom White, with the football side, or whatever it is. But I do understand. I do want to mean about overstretching yourself.
Yeah.
And
how do you manage that? How do you measure it, and at some point either increase or reduce certain things? Because I always find it quite interesting how you and I are in charge of our own life. We don't have anybody else going, unless you have a life coach or something maybe, but generally most people, we are just doing what we think is right every day.
Yeah.
And I think if you are running your own business and in a way kind of creating your own life a bit, because you've got a little bit of flexibility to change something or to start something new. There's not necessarily, you might have your spouse or your family that could tell you, give you advice, but ultimately there's no handbook and there's no. You have to feel your way through things and make decisions along the way, which can be uncomfortable at times. But I just wondered how you measured that and manage it.
I felt that I probably was definitely taking on too much, and dare I say, March the 13th, 23rd, 2020, when lockdown came.
Yes.
And Boris said, "You must stay at home." You know, that actually turned out to be, I know COVID was terrible for many people, but it was actually a brilliant reset for me.
Yeah.
Because there was a tipping point.
Yeah, it was
for me 100%. And those particularly up until, I think the story opened in June, so that was effectively staying at home March, rest of March, April, May. Yeah. We'll never ever have that time again.
No.
Will we?
No, we won't.
Ever. Of ever having been like that time to reflect, to pause, reflect. And I learned so much in that period of like being more present in the home with the family.
Yeah.
Not gallivanting X, Y, and just trying to chase whatever I was trying to chase.
Yeah.
And that it was definitely a kind of a positive. I mean, I know the lockdown periods were dreadful for many, many people, and after our lockdown 2 and 3 were just painful.
Yeah.
Business-wise, awful.
Yeah.
But
those seeing effects of that.
Oh, massively, massively. I'm only just talking through the prism of me.
Yeah, exactly.
And in answering your question about me and taking how you measure that.
Yes.
And it was, I find it much more, if I'm not, things aren't working, so I find it much better and easier now just to say, no, it's not working for me. And equally going back to our business stuff, and why I'm loving it like Origi's is that, you're honing in everyone's strengths rather than trying to do something, like, I don't know. I'm not a Rishi Sunak who just studies facts and spreadsheets every day. That's not my gig. I like being out there, communicating, presenting, and the board recognise that, and that's what I really like. I feel valued.
Yeah. Right.
So this is an extension of that, really.
That's interesting. So the dynamic there at Origi Bianchi is very much that people are playing to their strengths, so that it benefits the company. Yeah. The individual is happy. Yeah. And happiness is crucial, isn't it? In a workplace, it's all right. Salaries and dividends and all that kind of stuff, but everybody has to be wanting to get in and do their thing. So you're very much a communicator in the community. You do your events and talks with your dad. In store, no doubt, kind of in communication with customers and looking after clients and
also as well knowing that with Origi's, with the name on the building, you've got the ability to kind of create a wonderful experience, because traveling around and working with the people I do and surrounding yourself with all the people and going to a lovely restaurant, I'd like to think I know what good looks like.
That's
it's
true.
Having that ability to pass that on, but even delivering great service as well,
Absolutely.
So I've got the that's very powerful, that knowing I've got that ability to do that.
I love that, and that is your strength, and you're a people person. You love that exchange of energy. You love making people feel good. I think we share a lot.
You're the same. Well, no, I think that's why we're doing the podcast together. It's like whether you're on the paddle court. I love that. What is it? Our good friend Jen Dooley said, about, you know, I love being on court. I play with anyone on paddle, as you know, all levels. And she says like to master a sport is to coach a sport, you know, or to coach a sport is master a sport. You know what I'm saying? I thought I listened to that, and I thought Jen was absolutely right. And so I love playing with all levels, you know, just and I just again we're going back on to paddle, but it's,
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen a lot. But I think like you say, it brings people together, and just seeing all those people. So all those things, those other things that I've dropped, which weren't working for me, which weren't making me happy. Yeah, I've kind of freed up time to do that, which really does make me happy.
It's important, brilliant. It's great to see that.
Great coffee, by the way.
Good, I'm pleased. You know, it's about
in an Origi Bianchi mug. Can you see that? Look at that. I gave this to Oli. This was a pottery company in Staffordshire called Moreland Pottery, and they did a limited edition.
Love that.
Can you see that on there?
That was for 160 years?
That was 160.
And now we're at 170
170 anni. 170.
Amazing. Oh wow. Will there be?
You see you on the Instagram? Did you see your face on it?
My face was that? Yes.
On that thing that Ella did, on the Origi thing, and it did the timeline through the years.
No way.
Last one, because you commented on it. I thought you saw it.
I wasn't as called to the last bit.
You were there. You were on the frame.
Oh my God.
You are etched into the history of Origi's,
I am, literally. That's
the last frame is remember I got the Laurent Perrier van?
Yes.
And Rosie the LP van in for Valentine's.
Yeah.
So we've got a picture of the LP van in the car park.
Amazing.
And there's you doing the chocolate making at Easter.
In
Kitchenality.
Wow.
But I think Jeanette Harrison and I were away somewhere. I can't remember. We're on holiday or something. But we unfortunately couldn't make it. But you are there. You were in the timeline. You're in the timeline. You're in the timeline, Shock. You're in the timeline.
Well,
what about, I mean, like, how with everything you're doing here, like I touched on before about being the resident chocolatier from, you know, the Blue Peter and making that happen, realising that. Talk to us about doing the auctioneering. I mean, there's no ends to your kind of, you know, abilities. And is there anything this year where you thought, because what I love about you, Oli, and I can speak on all behalf of all the people that know you, is that you'll always put yourself into the deep end, if I could possibly say that, to test yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
I've got one in mind, but this year particularly, is there anything where you think, shit, I'm going a bit in the deep end here. I'm confident I'll do it, but I don't know.
It's a bit scary. Yeah, and I think that's what drives me is doing things that scare me. And it's amazing when you get asked to do something that somebody sees something in you that they think that you can do, you know, you're the right person to ask for this. And when I look back over the years, I remember being asked to do like the Alderley Edge Christmas light switch on. I think that was the first thing that I ever kind of like hosted the stage and invited people up to turn on the Christmas lights. And for me, that was a bit of like, okay, people are now starting to see me as more than a chocolatier. And it's something that I reference sometimes. It's like, I'm a chocolatier and I'm passionate about chocolate, but I like to think of myself as more than a chocolatier, and it's kind of hard to say because it's not an ego thing. It's more just stepping outside of the box, the box of the chocolate box, if you like, and being asked to present the stage. For the light switch on was big, and then going on to sort of do like charity balls and therefore auctions.
That's so the one. Was that the one of the Edwardian or the Radisson?
The Radisson Edwardian.
Talk to us about that. Yeah.
That's the NSPCC. So they asked me to come along and do some chocolate work, and I think I'm always open and that's what I do. I'm a chocolatier, but I'm also keen to get the message across that I am also a presenter, and not just not because I like to call myself a presenter, but because I like presenting and I enjoy it. I enjoy the thrill of it. I like being live, so I like live video because everything is in the moment. It's like this now. It's this is obviously recorded, but it's live style. I like to think of it as
for me it's live. It's live.
Every single word that goes out, it's like we can't change it.
We can't change it.
That sharpens me up, so I enjoy the thrill, the buzz of that. So more so, you know, in a live environment in front of like real people is maybe that little bit more scary because you can actually see the people. It's different on social media. You might see a little number in the corner, so you know how many people are watching. But when you can actually see the people, NSPCC got in touch, I think initially about chocolate. And I mentioned the fact that I have hosted events in the past, so if they needed any help on that side, they did ask me to do the auction, but said they had somebody else in mind as the host. And then as we got a bit nearer to the time, as it happened that they wanted me to kind of host it as well. So I did have a co-host. And it's Kat Farmer does my Bum Luck 40. I think she was kind of like my co-host, but I sort of led so she kind of got up. I asked her some questions about her book. Then we moved on to the auction, and I just feel it's weird. Like it's almost like become the comfort zone. Like because it was outside of my comfort zone initially getting up there, but once I get up on the mic, it's like now I'm in my flow and like nothing is scary anymore, and then I can just be this like entertainer, and I might start as I always say, don't ignore inspiration. If I feel inspired to start singing on the mic, I will. Like I genuinely don't care, and I think it's, and when I say I don't care, I care very much. Like but I don't worry about judgment. So there's a difference there between caring and not worrying about what people think.
If I could pick you up on that, I think that's absolutely right, because some of the content you do on Instagram, I'm like, I really admire that. I'm envious of it there, because I'm probably a bit, I'm definitely in the conservative, like with a small C, just I'm like, oh God, and I admire your kind of courage on that. And then I'm just, whatever it is, wacky things, but that's you and you're true to yourself. Just to throw a bit of a question here, and it's just sometimes having the name, and I feel partly responsible because I think it was me who branded you as Oli the Chop.
Yeah, you did.
But I love that. But do you think having that sometimes, when you do want to be Oli the presenter and Oli, it might kind of not restrict it, but they might say, overlooked, because it's like, well, he's the chocolate guy. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and it can be a little bit frustrating, but at the same time, maybe that's the fun bit, maybe that's the challenge, and I think with the power of social media, I feel that I can make the Oli the Choc brand, if you like, resonate on different levels. So it can be like Oli the Choc in the form of chocolate, but I think Oli the Choc can also be the guy that presents, Oli the Choc, the presenter. I almost feel that it's memorable. People like saying it. It's quite catchy.
Yeah.
So I like it for that, and that's why you started to call me
Oli the Choc.
It was catchy. It was fun to say.
Yeah.
When I did Blue Peter, which I suppose we'll come on to at some point, they were all like Oli the Choc. Like all the presenters in the green, they liked to say it, and. I feel I wouldn't drop that, but it's it's an interesting point. I think I'm constantly on the striving to make sure that I communicate on my social media that I'm not just Oli the Choc.
I have to get up. Can we just touch on that? Because you've become a TikTok sensation with this, like, what can I take from my dad's shop? I must say, like, I've not seen Simon and Ann yet, but they are the most unbelievable. Please do come down to Chocolate Towers. Yeah, we need a debrief for Simon and Ann, for they're just everything epitomised and eschews the great things about family businesses you see here at Chocolate Towers. Just lovely award, personal touches. But the TikTok thing, that's crazy. Again, you get it. You get that. I mean, I see Harrison, obviously he's 8, but I'm not saying he's on TikTok, but his impatience is frightening.
The scroll.
It's frightening. He gives it 2.2 seconds.
Yeah.
On anything. If it's on YouTube on the TV.
Okay.
He literally starts it, and I thought, quite like watching that. And I'm sat with him.
Yeah.
Bang, gone. Harrison, what are you doing? He said, boom, gone. Now, I guess, and this is where you here to educate me, like TikTok is similar, right? Is it just people's attention span, or just like they will just?
I think we're all like monkeys on these devices. Just like, if we're not getting that instant gratification from the video, or we don't feel like it's going to give us something in that first, like, possibly even first second, it's like nope.
So what do you do with that TikTok? Do you do something to kind of like move?
I've been working with a guy called Chris Grimes recently with my good friend Matthew Platt, who's a videographer. So Chris is a TikTok expert, and he's been here. We've had these conversations, and it's all about that hook in the first 2 seconds. So I've taken that on board, like I do with any advice that I'm given. It's if you've lost them in that first second, they've gone. So you've got to make them care quickly, otherwise they're gone. So in that first 2 seconds, you got to almost tease what you're going to do. It might be that you create a really good piece of content, but you show the best bit. Like the Jeanette with the chocolate smash, you might show the tears at the start of the video, but then play the video that shows her smashing it. So it could be that there's almost like no context at the beginning, but you're hooked in because you go, what's just happened?
Yeah, but you sometimes see that in films, don't you, where you see something dramatic and then it goes 14 hours earlier.
Yeah, and you go, ooh, what happened there? I need to watch to find
14 hours earlier, so you've seen the end one.
Spot on.
Yeah, I saw that on Netflix the other day, actually, bizarrely. So you're saying, okay, that's
Netflix is a great example. That's how we consume content, isn't it? And that's how the brain works, isn't it? It's like tapping into that curiosity of people, creating the suspense. And that's what I'm trying to do on TikTok. Kind of create that
one with the please. I mean, the one with Romy's was it a Dinosaur Rex thing when you took the banoffee? I mean, unbelievable, brilliant.
So what happened was I bought this dinosaur toy, which is like it's almost like a litter picker. Like you squeeze a little trigger and your mouth opens and you can pick up things. For me, I was like, I'm using this as a toy to pinch chocolate out of my dad's cabinet. Now, there's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing here because when I was a kid, did I mention this at the start? Me and my sister used to sneak downstairs and get handfuls of chocolate buttons to take back to our bedroom.
Well, you said that chocolate was in the house, so to speak.
You're right.
You're making chocolate in the house.
That's right. So, when me and my sister, as kids, we were cheeky. We used to sneak downstairs, get handfuls of chocolate buttons to take back to our bedroom, and we got caught because we left a trail of buttons going up the stairs. So, trail of evidence to our bedroom door. But there's kind of like the link to that. Like, not much has changed. I'm still nipping in the chocolate shop and pinching a chocolate. It's a bit of fun. So I just did this one video where I said, I'm in the chocolate shop. Do you think I can pinch a chocolate without my dad noticing? So my dad's in the background talking to my mum. I go in, I'm filming it all a bit shaky, and it's like it's not well produced. It's just like real. You feel like you're there in that moment. So this video went to like 30,000 views really quickly. Yeah, I was.
So it's got the ability to grow. Exponentially.
That's why I thought, right, this is. People were commenting like, this is, and I was like, this is a series. So I've now done 5 of those videos, and the third one has gone to like, I think it's, I don't know, 200,000 or something crazy.
That's mad.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how it goes, and you're getting all these comments, and then I'm listening, I'm reading the comments, and I'm taking in the comments. So it's kind of like I'm asking which chocolate they would take if they could take one, and I'm seeing the feedback, so I'm taking that as inspiration for the next video. I might even do this thing where I get people to comment which chocolate, and then I pinch one, I put it in an envelope, and I stick it in the post to them, so they're actually receiving one. I get some little stickers done that say pinched by Oli the Choc or something random like that. So it is good. It's great.
Simon Willow, as we call it, Willow, will love that.
He would actually, wouldn't he?
I think he'd definitely have his view on that.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Good point. Yeah,
I love that. So again, that creative is your gig.
Creative is my gig, and I think that's why I'm so key on being in my flow and feeling good all the time. I'm a human being, so I can't feel good all the time. And it's like what do I need to do in order to feel good all the time so that I can be creative, I can be the best version of myself. So I get frustrated. You go through peaks and troughs of that, and I think when I'm feeling good, I'm like a magnet, like everything. I'm attracting all these opportunities, things are happening, but then when things are not, I get frustrated and I get down, and it's like, I need to recognize that can't be all the time. But I am also very much very mindful of what I need to do. Drink water, drink less alcohol, sleep better, exercise, run, play paddle, all these things. And you're massive on that as well. Like, can I just throw that back to you and ask you, like, what are your tools that you use in order to be the best NB you can?
Yeah, well, one of the things that literally I've done religiously since about just when we got back from our summer holiday last year, so September the 1st probably, we went to Crete, we got back and ordered a Lumi. Now, in between that, an ice bath.
Yeah.
In between that, I'd done, sporadic, but not daily, but, ice baths, different places, and some good pals have, their own ice baths, but I wasn't doing it daily, but I just started the journey then.
Okay.
And honestly, it's I call it like rhythm and rigor, but it's absolutely fundamental.
And this is at least once a day now?
Oh, it's once a day, yeah. At least once a day, yeah.
Sometimes twice a day?
Sometimes twice a day, yeah. It was a bit late after the paddle last night, 10 o'clock.
Did you do it?
No. I didn't want to create havoc. Wet, or feet, wet all around the floor, drive Jeanette mad. But this morning, just rhythm and rigor. And obviously it's quite warm now at the moment, so I haven't got one of those ice baths that's filled, that's temperature set. It's just a Lumi, but I put loads of ice in at ice blocks, so it got it to about 10, 11 degrees, which is still good. Yeah, there's a thermometer in it, but that now is just, it's comfortable, getting comfortable being uncomfortable. But once you're in it and you overcome, and we did the farm club, didn't we? And and then dunking it, you just feel it just activates the vagus nerve. It just makes you feel, for me, really positive. It's interesting because, a good friend Michael Vaughan, Vaughan did a really, really good article in the Telegraph about. Did you read it?
Yeah.
But one of the things he talked about was his ice baths, and we do that. He's religious on it as well, and he's absolutely right, because Vaughan said it gives him mental clarity, and it gives me real clarity, real focus, but more than anything, just positivity.
Amazing.
It's like this kind of cocoon. This like.
Would you say that you still go, like, obviously this is the uncomfortable, and you talk about being comfortable with that. Do you still go, as you're going in, it's almost like your mind is saying no, but you're sort of like trying to overcome those thoughts.
Ollie, this morning I'm going, but the thing, I'm setting the stopwatch on.
Yeah.
And I know I'm procrastinating. Because I'm just like, stopwatch, or just get my time. So, ultimately leaving a very comfortable bed, to go down into kind of environment. Sometimes, as at Christmas time, it gets down to like 1 degree. Now, at the moment, it's because of just, it's hot, and I've done everything to try and make it as cool. I've got that reflective cover around it, so it just, the sun just reflects off, obviously. It doesn't make the water hot, if that makes sense. So I've done it, cool. So I've done it, so it keeps around that 10. And if you Google an ice bath, it actually says the definition of an ice bath is between 10 and 12 degrees anyway.
Right, okay.
So it doesn't have to be 1 degree.
I think you immediately think of sub-zero.
I know you do, but I think ultimately 6 or 7 degrees I think is good when you come out and you got that swimmer's tan or ready Brett glow. I like that. I think 6 or 7 degrees is my optimum, but you do about 4 minutes on that, or that, but I can do longer at that, at 10 or 11, so about 6 minutes. But I just felt, I just have thoughts. Sometimes you mentioned I love podcasts, so sometimes I have a podcast on. Might have a bit of music, but not too heavy, just relaxed, and
it's just your time. It's that protected time where you're able to kind of gather your thoughts and maybe plan your day, or think about nothing. I don't know.
Or think about nothing.
It's almost a bit like a form of meditation, perhaps.
It is, and just but it in answer to your question, Ollie, every time I'm still thinking about it. I know that it's going to be like those first 30 seconds are like. But then you get the breath work, as we saw, the farm club. The breath work is so important. So in terms of that, gives me the tools, because I ultimately when I go to Origi's, we're on stage there.
Yeah, that's true.
So if I'm, my name's on the building, so I've got to transmit that energy, that positivity throughout the stop.
Yeah,
people have got shit going on in their lives. They
come to store for an experience.
They come to the store, and it's vital that one of the things, my roles at the business is to kind of motivate and make sure that. Whether you're the pot wash, or whether you're just a housekeeper, or whether you're sales consultant, whether you want to feel part of it, and you want to feel oh god, Nick feels positive, and Nick's got energy, so come on, why can I not? Why I've got to have energy, and just get them involved, and certainly the ice bath is, I just come to work feeling really pumped,
I love that. Do you get to a point where you're in the ice bath and it's like you've been doing the breath work, and it gets to a point of like you've stilled your mind and your body, you actually feel kind of comfortable, like this like a sweet spot? Because like you've sent me video notes on WhatsApp, and you just look so happy.
4 minutes.
Is it at 4 minutes?
4 minutes. That's my sweet spot.
Is it?
4 minutes.
And you just feel totally relaxed.
Just. I think I said to you, didn't I, Chuck? Ollie, happy place. Just feel so relaxed, and then you come over, and then just allow myself to indulge in a nice little espresso after, and again just get warm up. I mean, I got I get Raynaud, so my fingers kind of like go white. But I'm not bothered about that. And equally, sometimes as you saw at the farm club, they're trying to get you warm and stuff. But I quite like the fact that body's having to work really hard, and you're kind of burning calories to get. It's kind of like a workout as well, because your body's working really hard, using lots of calories to get you warm again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I kind of let that do that naturally.
So you'll just relax almost.
Yeah. And especially the dream was yesterday, because obviously the sun comes in, and I brought Jeanette, and I got all the outdoor furniture out at the weekend, and just did the ice bath, and then just literally it was beautiful sun coming right in, and just had a coffee, a juice, and just chilled.
Before the world has begun.
Everyone's just dead quiet, and then I listened to it. Obviously, we're talking about podcasts.
I want to know what you listen to. Yeah.
I'm a bit of a political geek.
Yeah, you've always been into your politics.
I'm a bit of a geek.
That's a nice thing, though.
It's particularly now until July the 4th, obviously. I do like the podcast. I mean, I'm going through probably my top 3 podcasts at the moment I listen to is... The Rest is Politics is huge, right? It's the best selling or the best listened or whatever. What would you say in podcast?
I don't know. Would it be the most streamed or the most listened to? I don't know. But
yeah. And I try and think why I like it so much. And I think it's because you've got Alistair Campbell, who's obviously towards the left. I mean, not massively left like a Jeremy Corbyn, but just like centre left of centre. Obviously, he was the spin doctor to Tony Blair, but he's a very good communicator.
Okay.
And then you've got Rory Stewart, who's right of centre, but moderate. So they're both kind of moderate.
Okay.
Which is probably my politics. And but what I like about it, and they coined their kind of mission statement, is they can disagree, but they disagree agreeably.
So do they come onto the podcast and they'll talk together?
Yeah. Just like this. And then they've got a sub-brand called Leading, where they'll bring someone else. But they're just chatting about political things. They'll come up with a structure and say, well, look, from now it's election mania, isn't it? So now they're talking about election. They might Rishi Sunak's gaffes by leaving the World D-Day celebrations early, and but then they might talk about and look at the presidential elections in Mexico, and so you come away really kind of, for me, kind of enriched.
Yeah,
kind of what's going on, but in a nice synopsis of a 59-minute podcast or whatever it is.
And it's not just UK; it's global.
I mean, they've got listeners all over them, and they're now packing out Royal Albert Hall, and they're doing shows on. Okay. So you got that, but then they've got another one, Political Currency, with George Osborne and Ed Balls, who were ex-chancellors, one Labour, one Conservative. And again, I mean, maybe like the fact that they just get on okay, because the first election debate, I don't know if you saw it on ITV, really pissed me off, because they're just like arguing over each other, really tetchy, just speaking over each other, and a really kind of, for me,
shows a lack of intelligence, really.
For me, Sunak and it was just bad TV, bad viewing.
Right. Whereas these guys, they're on the opposite sides, but they're intelligent enough, and they can articulate themselves in a way they can actually have a conversation with the other person, and like almost agree to disagree. And that's quite an interesting listen, isn't it? That must be quite.
I mean, the only time really where it's got quite charged is. Obviously, Alistair Campbell, amongst he kind of coined. Well, the term "spin doctor" was coined for him.
Yeah,
but he was kind of behind the whole. Not him personally. It was Tony Blair who decided to go to war with the state, to Iraq.
Yeah,
which obviously is very controversial.
Yeah.
But Rory Stewart has very fixed mindset views on Iraq because he's lived over there. He knows that area backwards. I mean, his font of knowledge is incredible.
Okay.
And it was just a complete disaster, basically.
Right.
So
on
that they'll never reconcile.
No,
they did. But no. I just think the political thing at the moment is it could. One podcast said the Conservative brand could die. The brand is gone. I mean, this could be absolutely the end of the Conservatives as we know it as a party.
Really? So it's a massive shift in.
Huge. So I think even though the campaign has been criticised in some quarters for being quite, but because everyone knows probably that Labour are going to win, so it's been a bit lacklustre. Nigel Farage, for whether you like him or hate him, has brought a bit of personality to it.
Yeah.
And I think the media have relished the fact that he's there just for more column inches, and because he does speak with charisma. He is charismatic, and
definitely.
It's that's why I listened to drop into a few of the business ones. And what about yourself, Ollie?
Just jump on that quickly. Does Harrison is he interested in any of that at all? How old is Harrison?
He's 8.
He's 8.
He'll say he listens. He might not actively do it, and then he'll say, Mummy, you know the leader of Labour is Starmer. You know, something like that.
Okay,
he's not going anywhere with that. He'll pick things up.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Which is lovely. You know, he's obviously got an interest in life, but he's not kind of developing what the manifesto of Labour was, or are they going to add, put tax on capital gains or something? No, they're not going too deep or something. But
just interested.
Because
they do absorb, don't they? So
hugely, and you'll find that with Romy. You'll probably find that with Romy now.
Definitely,
But we've covered a lot already.
Yeah, we have. Well, no, you just to answer your question there, you asked me about my podcast listening habits. And I listened to quite avidly Gary V or Gary.
Oh, and you went to VaynerMedia. Yes,
I did. I went down to VaynerMedia in London.
He was there. Share that.
Yeah, and actually, this is quite an interesting example of, I think, probably A, the power of chocolate, B, the power of social media, and C, the power of just taking action. And that's what Gary V's all about, and that's what you're all about. It's very much like you have an idea. Just run with it and run with it and take it to the right people. Don't be afraid of. Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Basically, don't be afraid of sending that DM or.
You did, didn't you? Did you send it something? It was about welcome to the new office in London or something. Is that right?
I did. I basically saw that they posted that they had new offices in London. I consume pretty much all of his content and have done for years and taken a lot from it in terms of learning about the culture of social media and being thoughtful about the way that you create content and also being fearless about it as well. Kind of like he's very much about no judgment and just doing it and encouraging people to focusing on the strengths and just set up that podcast and post that video and I think you've got to do it. It's like you've got to do the reps. You can't procrastinate over content because you've got to just post it to know how it's going to perform. And even if it performs badly, even more so it performs badly, you go, okay, that didn't work because the first 3 seconds was lame. We needed to get to the point a bit quicker or create more suspense or whatever it might be. So I basically saw they posted about these new offices in London. So I commented, welcome to London. Obviously, I don't live in London, but I operate there as well. I do corporate events down in London. So I thought I'd take the chocolatier of London role and just welcome to London. If you ever need any chocolate, you know where I'm at.
Brilliant.
Of thing. And then Daisy replied, and she's
like CEO of the show.
Yeah, that's right. So she replied, we always need chocolate. DM us. So I DM'd them. Actually, I set up a group on Instagram with me, Daisy, and VaynerMedia UK, so that they were seeing it as well. I changed the theme of the wallpaper to Wonka because you can change themes of the wallpaper in DMs, can't you? And then I sent a voice note.
When you say "do you," I didn't know that, but I'm 51.
I don't want to assume you don't. But
No.
I'm about to change the theme of our wallpaper, by the way, on our DM. Finish. And then sent a DM saying with a voice note and then a message and just basically where's best to send the chocolate to, a forwarded address. And she got back to me. I sent them a box of chocolate with a QR code on the box, which took them to a video of me showing what was in the box. So I was kind of going, Ollie the Choc here. This is my signature Holy Grail chocolate, which has got Anglesey sea salt, fudge pieces, crushed Oreo.
Gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you very much. Which is what Nick's eating right now. And it gave context to what was in there. Chocolate cassette tapes, chocolate Lego bricks that you can build with. And by the way, guys, can't wait to come down to the offices for the launch party, because at this point she'd already mentioned the launch party, which was amazing. And I said, also hope to come down to the office and do some chocolate making with the team at some point. Enjoy, and I'll see you soon. So it kind of brought the box of goodies to life because they could see the man behind it. It wasn't it's not just the chocolate, it's about this is made with thoughtfulness.
Personalization.
Exactly.
Which I think people want.
Definitely. Yeah.
Personalization.
And I did, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, so I did some lollies. We do like printed, branded chocolate. So we print like company logos onto the chocolate lolly. So I did the VaynerMedia lollies, put some of those in, and then because of that, we put those in the goodie bag. So I went down with them to put them in. They called them the swag bags, actually, which was even better. Which contained like a lanyard, a water bottle, all VaynerMedia branded. Actually, a Snapchat snapback So a baseball cap, and I was like, Snapchats. This is my kind of snapback.
Yeah.
And I had fun putting the chocolate lollies in the swag bags, and then stayed and watched Gary speak and basically do a live podcast.
I mean, that's crazy.
It was unbelievable. To be sat there in the same room as him, I was like pinching myself, going, "How has this happened?" But it's just being able to like leverage chocolate and take the opportunity and leverage social media. If you're not posting, if you're not commenting, you're not, there's no chance, is there? But if you start to take the action, then there's a chance.
Take the action,
and you never know what might come of that. And I'm still seeing what might come of that by the contacts that I've met off the back at the event, and there's conversations going on and different opportunities that might still be created. So, we'll see.
Great story, that.
Yeah, it was unbelievable being down at VaynerMedia.
So Gary, listen to Gary, and
I didn't get to meet him yet, but I'm hoping that.
But on the podcast though, that's one of the podcasts you listen to.
Yeah.
So High Performance, would you listen to that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, High Performance.
CEO.
Diary of a CEO. Sporadically, I'm not necessarily listening to every single episode. I'm keen to listen to the Simon Cowell one on Stephen Bartlett.
Yeah.
There was one that my friend Andy Barrow, who lives in Amsterdam, he's him and I share a lot of content. He's a photographer, a very creative type, likes writing as well. And he sent me this one from High Performance, which is Paul Smith from Nottingham.
Absolutely.
Hearing all about his backstory and when he had his shop and David Bowie came in.
Yeah.
And how he's just so humble and just loves being on the ground in the shop serving customers. And
good brand,
really cool.
We've got
brand.
it. Paul Smith accessories now in Arrighi's.
Okay.
That's proper pillar brand. That
absolutely.
I like it. High end, accessible luxury.
Absolutely genius. And incredible hearing him and his sort of philosophies. And he didn't think of himself as a high performer. He just thought of himself as a guy that had kind of landed on his feet a bit, but just liked to work hard and was passionate about aesthetic and design and working with people. Yeah, cool story, really cool. I recommend that podcast to anyone that's listening.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm open. I'm listening to one yesterday that was a lady who's neuroscientist and studied sort of spirituality in the universe and that kind of stuff. She was talking about manifestation and other amazing things about the brain, and I'll have to send you a copy of that.
No, do that, because I was telling you about I went to Jeanette and I listened to Deepak Chopra on Monday night at Bridgewater Hall, and the contrast between the night before Pet Shop Boys and the chaos at Co-op Live, and it was pissing down with rain, and it was like mental health, and then the next day, Bridgewater Hall, nice and relaxed. It's a good venue, isn't it? Bridgewater Hall is chilled. The car park opposite. Nice drinks, nice products, nice premium beer.
Love it.
Nice seats. No chaos.
Actually,
do you know what? Sorry, nothing to do with Deepak. After that, I had an honest conversation with Jeanette, and I said, do you know what? Listening to whoever, gigs, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do those big venues anymore. I whether it's my age or whatever, it's just everything's just chaos. And I know Co-op Live, it will, it's a class venue, of course, but it's not fully done yet.
Right.
The car park, which you paid 25 quid for the pleasure, was just rubble. I know they're building a hotel there as well, but it was just, the overall experience was just queues that you didn't need to queue for, the queues just to get in.
No.
8 quid for a can of Grolsch.
Oh, okay.
Lofty that. Is Grolsch premium? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of money, isn't it?
But the overall experience, and all I was thinking was like, when we leave, can we leave before the encore? Because I just think of the traffic.
Yeah.
Bridgewater Hall was nice, right? But Deepak in his thing, but he talked about everything, but wellness, spiritual, anti-aging, everything. But at the end, the last 30 minutes was meditation.
Oh, wow. Was it? That's amazing. What an energy there must have been.
And the guy just walked up. Obviously, he's got 94 books behind him. He's world acclaimed. But he came up very humble, like you was talking about Paul Smith, very unassuming. And he just knows his stuff.
Wow.
He knows his shit.
What was your biggest takeaway from that? I know it's cliche to ask, but
no, it's a good question. I think it was being present in yourself. I said I really, some slides were just over my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he started talking about how tiny we are in the whole universe. He actually started, is that astrology? I can't remember, whatever. But he's just talking about the universe for us. So I was looking at Jeanette and I was thinking, where's he going with this? I thought this guy was about
Is this a good or a bad thing?
Yeah. Then he was talking about the formation of the humanoids, and I think there was 8 types of. You talk about evolution of species and stuff, and then talk about how there were 8 forms of humans, which are called humanoids.
Right.
And then there was one that which stepped up to the plate and came better than the other humanoids, and that was. And they called it Homo sapiens, which is wise man, and they understood about storytelling, and he was just talking about life is just stories, basically.
So they were the first humans with memory,
or just able to kind of articulate through stories.
Wow,
I think,
Wow.
So then it came onto that. Then it came onto kind of anti-aging, looking after yourself, sleep, and then it was talking about wellness and mentioned about ice baths bizarrely.
Really?
And
that's how long it's been going, the ice bath thing.
Yeah, so he brought it up, and then just that to top and tail the event, it was just this meditation, and it just came away just, and I felt like I changed bizarrely after Deepak driving back. On the way, you just bicker, just stupidly bicker.
Yeah.
It's bollocks, isn't it?
It is. It's all trivial nonsense.
But why am I bickering?
Nothing matters.
I've come in here, not bickered once, have I?
No.
But I bicker, just stupid. Why are you parked here? Why are you doing this? Why are you so no? Why am I being a dick?
Yeah. Nothing matters, does it?
Why am I being a dick?
Yeah. So it's the way you perceive the world, isn't it? It's the way your perspective on your environment is like everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you can shift that, and I guess that's what happened there, isn't it? Like on the way there, you're consumed by life and shit, and stuff's happening in front of you, and you're reacting to it. And I guess on the way back, you're just like, whatever. Like, if he wants to do that, he can pull out in front of me. No problem.
No problem. You crack on.
Crack on.
No problem at all. Nice, right. So that was Pet Shop Boys to Deepak. I think that was
that's you in a nutshell.
Exactly.
Bro,
no rules. And then paddle the next morning. Yeah.
Love it. I think we've touched on more than we could have wished to, in a good way. Like I'm delighted with what we've done there.
You're pleased with it? Yeah. I'm really pleased with it. I think we've kind of got a loose agenda.
Yeah.
We know each other so well that we can just develop it and go a bit off-piste. And while you're talking about your backstory, I then brought about Jeanette's but that was important,
And it's we were raising things and touching on things and pulling it back because it's important, but at the same time, it's interesting, hopefully, to the listener, because it's like you don't know what to expect. We don't know what to expect. No. It can go anywhere, and it went into places we couldn't have planned it to. So we look forward to bringing more of that kind of impromptu, impulsive conversation in future episodes. We're bringing in some interesting guests at the same time.
Definitely, can't wait for it all.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, bro.
Cheers, Chuck.
See you next time.
Cheers, buddy.
If you made it this far, I'd like to say a huge thank you on behalf of Nick and myself for listening to our first episode of the Sofa Stories podcast. We cannot wait to bring you some very interesting guests in upcoming episodes with a ton of stories, entertainment and value. So don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get yours. We look forward to catching you next time. Until then, stay curious.